Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us to this very insightful, important discussion on AI in telecommunications. My name is Carol Nakhli, and I have the great pleasure to introduce Mr. Olayan Al-Witaid, who's known to many of you. He's the Group CEO of STC, which is the largest telecommunication business in the region. And from my discussion with Mr. Olayan, I learned that STC is not just involved in telecom, but also has a great involvement in the whole digital economy. So, Mr. Olayan, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to start by asking you about how is AI reshaping the future of the telecommunications industry?
Thank you, Carol, and thank you so much for the great team in the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority, Dr. Abdullah Sharaf and his entire team. Thank you so much. The way we look at it from a telecom operator perspective is to look at it in two forms. One is the operational side of things, where we utilize the AI technologies for our own operations to make our decisions on investments in a much better way, as well as operating in a much more efficient way and providing products and services that are tailored and segmented in the right way to our customers. And we have been on that for quite some time and doing a lot of data analytics around it and pushing the envelope for the last few years on that front. The other strategic element of it, where we see a lot of potential from the enablement of AI and the digital economy ecosystem. And that is where STC has been strategizing for the last few years and actively working on investing heavily on the building blocks of the digital economy, be it on the cloud computing, be it on the IoT, be it on the cybersecurity, and much more that we are addressing for the last few years. And we have the great partnership with the different entities, including Sadaya, and so many other entities within the government and the private sector from a global perspective that is participating with us in a very active role to push the envelope for the digital economy in this country and the region to flourish and take the leadership at a global level.
Thank you. I like how you looked at it from the operational side and the strategic side, and we can see how the reach of AI in the telecom actually goes beyond the telecom industry. And this is what takes me to the next question. If you can elaborate a little bit on how it connects to areas such as smart cities, infrastructure, and health, among others.
Well, what you just mentioned are more or less the prime use cases of AI and digital economy enablement at large. We see a lot of potential for our investments on the infrastructure layer as well as on the platform layer, and addressing the verticals that we just talked about, be it smart cities or health or education or transportation or even beyond. And this is where a lot of use cases for making our cities managed in a much better way is taking place, utilizing AI technologies and utilizing the rest of the back-end infrastructure that is being put in place, whether it is 5G or cloud computing or cybersecurity and other products and services. The other elements of what you just mentioned in terms of use cases, health, a very important use case for AI, and there is a lot of advancement in that front, specifically in the country. Our partnership with the Ministry of Health is working nicely to enable telemedicine in a much better way, to enable diagnostics of patients and treating them in a much faster way with much more accuracy. We are moving into that direction in a very, I would say, steady base, where we are progressing nicely into pushing the boundaries of what has been already achieved to new heights. The other verticals that we are also addressing is across utilities and transportation. And this is where we have our company that has recently been launched in partnership with BIF, IoT Squared, that is dedicated towards the vertical of the industrial vertical of IoT, as well as the platform play within IoT. All of the above is a showcase to what this country is trying to do to push the envelope on digital enablement, and some serious investment has been put in place. Along with that is a lot of policy making that has been driven by Sadaya and the other entities that is involved to make sure that the progress of technology enablement is happening, and happening out of Saudi Arabia to the rest of the world as well.
I would add also, because you mentioned transport and utilities, the all-important energy sector, and we'll touch on it later during the day. What about the frontiers of technologies? Which main frontiers of technology research and investment can we identify here?
Well, the main frontiers, if you are to just name few, is to make sure that the technology continue advancing. And this is where the advancement across the different clusters of the technology that makes AI a reality needs to continue being advanced. And that is where the model that's been adopted needs to evolve further and further. The private and government sector partnership, as well as the global players with the regional and local players taking part of building that collaborative environment to continue the evolution of these technologies, be it on the mainstream technologies that is related to infrastructure, whether it is the telco part or the cloud computing or the edge computing, or the new frontiers, which is facial recognition, voice recognition, and new other technologies that is enabling AI to become much more effective. The second point, if you are to talk about an enabler or a success factor, is to make sure that the regulatory frameworks and the regulatory environment is taking the right shape to catch up with the technology advancement that is happening. And I think this part of the world is very advanced in that. And KSA is a case in point where we have been given the support from our regulatory entities across the value chain of technology to really lead at a regional and a global level. The third dimension is related to making sure that whatever technology we're working on is governed in a way that is providing good outputs. And this is where the ethical part of the technology is being looked after in a very good way. Last but not least, and I would say more important than a lot of the other dimensions, is talent, and making sure that we invest heavily as much as we need to make sure that the talent that is required for the new technologies is ready and enabled and diverse to make sure that we are really capturing the opportunity in a very good way.
Let me follow up on this question of talent, which is very, very important, because yesterday on my way to Riyadh from London, I saw at the airport a slogan that our most intelligent asset is not artificial. And I guess they are referring here to the talent. How do you ensure that you have the right people available? I mean, do you collaborate with universities? Do you do the in-house training? Just tell us a bit more about that.
I think the ecosystem around talent development in the country is taking care of that in so many ways. And different parts of the ecosystem is playing their own mandate. Be it the university community, be it the R&D community, be it the private sector, or even the policymakers and the regulators. All of us are collaborating in a very progressive way to make sure that this country is at the forefront. We heard yesterday a lot of discussions around how many is being involved on development courses and talent management programs to push the envelope of digital enablement, and the digital savvy future leaders are here with us. All of us are partnering in some way or another to develop our own people, but also to make sure that we provide that opportunity to the wider audience inside the country to make sure that the country is progressing, having the right talent, and competing in a regional and a global scale.
And actually, the talent is, as you kindly referred to, diverse talent. And I'm very happy to see here the diversity of men and women, young and old alike, joining this conference. I would have loved to ask you one more question on the government-industry partnership, but I was also so pleased to hear from you how this region is quite advanced in terms of regulatory framework, especially compared to other regions, for instance.
The region is very advanced compared to other global peers in terms of technology advancement, thanks to the leadership vision that we have, the 2030 vision, and the leadership of our country is putting us into that position where we are benefiting from policy making and strategic visions that is taking us ahead of the curve compared to our competitors at a regional and a global level. The region is, I would say, advanced maybe compared to Europe or the other parts of the countries that is not having the clarity of the mission that we do have.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for joining us. And also thank you very much for joining us for this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.